The Galactic Council's rule. The Grand Hall of the Intergalactic Alliance was a sight to behold. It stretched miles in every direction, its ceiling glowing with the light of artificial stars. Representatives of countless alien species filled the chamber, each seated in hovering pods that moved silently above the ground. The air buzzed with tension as a heated debate echoed through the hall. "This law is outdated," roared Tarkin, the leader of the Exarathian delegation. His large, scaled body shimmered under the hall's glowing lights. "Humans are weak, insignificant creatures. Why must we waste our resources protecting them?" A murmur of agreement spread through parts of the council. The Exarathians were not alone in their frustration. Many species had grown tired of the ancient rule that forbade harming humans. It was a law that had been in place for over 500 years, and no one truly knew its origins. In the center of the hall, the Supreme Arbiter, a towering figure with translucent skin that glowed faintly blue, raised a hand to silence the crowd. "The law is clear," the Arbiter said in a calm, commanding voice. "No harm shall come to humans. They are protected under the highest order of the Alliance." "But why?" Tarkin demanded, his voice filled with defiance. "What makes them so special? They are fragile. Their technology is primitive. They cannot even travel beyond their solar system without assistance. Why do we treat them as if they are above us?" The Supreme Arbiter paused, their glowing eyes scanning the crowd. "The reasons are known only to the High Council. It is not for us to question." Tarkin's claws scratched the edge of his pod in frustration. "Secrecy breeds rebellion. If we do not understand the law, how can we honor it?" The Exarathians demand answers. At the back of the hall, a lone figure sat in silence, cloaked in shadow. Unlike the other representatives, who openly displayed their vibrant forms, this individual wore a dark robe that concealed their features. They had not spoken a single word during the debate, but their presence was impossible to ignore. The energy around them felt heavy, almost oppressive, as if they carried a weight far greater than anyone else in the room. As the argument continued, the Supreme Arbiter raised their hand again. "Enough. The law will remain. Humans are off limits. Any who violate this rule will face the full wrath of the Alliance." The hall grew quiet, but the tension lingered. Many were dissatisfied, their minds racing with questions and doubts. Tarkin, however, was not done. He leaned forward, his voice lowering into a dangerous growl. "Then perhaps it is time we challenge the Alliance itself." A ripple of shock spread through the chamber. Challenging the Alliance was no small threat. It was the foundation of peace across the galaxy, and to defy it was to risk war. But Tarkin's words ignited something in the room, a spark of rebellion among those who shared his frustration. Before anyone could respond, the lights in the grand hall flickered. A low hum filled the air, growing louder until it became a deafening roar. The holographic display at the center of the hall activated on its own, projecting a massive figure made of shimmering blue light. The figure's face was indistinct, blurred as if hidden behind a veil. Its voice, however, was clear and commanding. The human secret must remain protected at all costs. The room fell into stunned silence. Even the Supreme Arbiter seemed taken aback. Who dares interfere with this council? The holographic figure ignored the question. To those who would question the law, understand this. Humans are more important than you can comprehend. Their potential is unmatched, their resilience unparalleled. To harm them is to risk the destruction of us all. The figure turned its glowing gaze directly at Tarkin, who instinctively shrank back. "Do not test the limits of your ignorance, Exarathian." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the hall in darkness. Slowly, the lights returned, and the council members looked at each other in confusion and fear. No one knew who or what the figure had been, but its warning was clear. The Supreme Arbiter regained their composure and addressed the room. "This session is adjourned. Return to your worlds and remember this day. The law is absolute." As the council members began to disperse, the cloaked figure at the back of the hall remained seated. They watched silently as Tarkin stormed out, his anger barely contained. The figure's lips curled into a faint smile. "The game has begun," they whispered to themselves before disappearing into the shadows. In the far reaches of the galaxy, the debate about humans had set something in motion. Secrets long buried were beginning to surface, and the fragile peace of the Alliance was now at risk. What was so special about humans? Why were they protected so fiercely? These questions would soon find answers, but not without a price. A human on the run. The streets of London were shrouded in mist, the faint glow of streetlights piercing through the fog like lonely beacons. Dr. Elena Voss sprinted down the cobbled alleyway, her breaths coming in sharp, panicked gasps. She clutched a small cylindrical device against her chest, its faint blue light pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Behind her, the sound of footsteps and the hum of alien tech grew louder. "Spread out," a guttural voice commanded from the shadows. It wasn't human. Elena didn't dare look back. She darted into another alley, her boots slipping on the wet pavement. She knew they were Exarathians, the hunters of the galaxy. They had broken the ancient law to come after her. And if they caught her, she knew what would happen. She wasn't running just for herself. The device she carried contained something far more valuable than her life: humanity's survival. Earlier that day, Elena had been in her lab at the University of London, oblivious to the danger that loomed. As a xenobiologist specializing in extraterrestrial genetics, she had dedicated her career to studying the scraps of alien technology and biology that humanity had scavenged over the years. But her latest discovery had changed everything. The device, a relic left behind by an alien shipwreck, held a code unlike anything she had ever seen. As she decrypted its layers, the truth unraveled. The code was humanity's genetic blueprint, but not as it was now. It showed what humans could become: adaptation, evolution, potential beyond imagination. The moment she realized what she was holding, the lab's power had cut out, and an eerie silence fell. Through the window, she saw them, shimmering, tall figures with scales that reflected the dim glow of the city. The Exarathians had come. She barely escaped with the device, her mind reeling with questions. How did the Exarathians know about her discovery? Why were they willing to risk breaking the Alliance's most sacred law to get it? And more importantly, what would they do if they succeeded? Now, as she ran through the labyrinth of the city, her legs burned with exhaustion. The Exarathians were relentless, their technology far beyond anything humans could match. She felt like prey in a hunt, the city itself turning against her with every turn she took. Ahead, a faint light flickered, a sign of hope. A small, nondescript warehouse stood at the edge of the Thames. She knew this place. It was a safe house, part of an underground network of humans who had been preparing for this kind of moment for years. But could she reach it in time? Her thoughts were interrupted by a loud crash. A Exarathian drone burst into the alley, its metallic limbs skittering like a spider's. Its glowing eyes locked onto her, and a deep mechanical voice issued a warning. "Surrender the device, human. You cannot escape." Elena froze, her mind racing. She knew she couldn't fight the drone, but she also couldn't let them have the device. Her hand tightened around it as the drone crept closer, its sharp appendages clinking against the pavement. Before she could decide what to do, a blinding beam of light shot from above, striking the drone with surgical precision. It screeched, sparks flying, before collapsing into a heap of metal. "Elena, get in," a voice shouted. She looked up to see a small spacecraft hovering just above the warehouse. Its side door slid open, revealing an alien figure with deep green skin and sharp, angular features. His eyes glowed faintly, but unlike the Exarathians, there was no malice in them. "Kresh," she gasped, recognizing him. "Move, human. They'll send reinforcements," he barked, extending a hand. Without hesitation, Elena sprinted toward the ship, her legs threatening to give out. As she jumped into the craft, Kresh pulled her inside and slammed the door shut. The ship rocketed upward, the force pinning her against the wall. "You're insane," she said between gasps. "Why are you helping me?" Kresh glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "Because if they get that device, it's not just humans who are doomed. It's everyone." The ship soared above the clouds, leaving London behind. Elena slumped into a seat, her mind spinning. She had known Kresh for years, an outcast from his own species, a renegade who had occasionally helped humans navigate the complexities of the intergalactic alliance. But she never thought he would risk his life for her. "What do they want with this?" she asked, holding up the device. Kresh hesitated before answering. "Do you know what's inside it?" "I decrypted part of it," she said. "It's our genetic code. But it's more than that, isn't it?" Kresh nodded grimly. "Humans are more than they appear to be. The Alliance knows this. The law protecting you. It's not about kindness. It's about fear." Elena stared at him, stunned. "Fear? Of what?" Kresh leaned closer, his voice low. "Of what you can become. Humans are unique. Your ability to adapt, to survive, it's unmatched. That device, it's the key to unlocking the next step of your evolution." Elena's breath caught in her throat. She thought about all the times humanity had faced extinction, wars, plagues, climate disasters, and somehow they had always found a way to endure. Was that what the Alliance feared? That humans wouldn't just survive, but thrive beyond anyone's control? Before she could respond, the ship's alarm blared. Kresh cursed under his breath. "They found us. Hold on, human. Things are about to get worse." As the ship jolted and swerved, Elena clutched the device tightly. Whatever secrets it held, one thing was clear: the fight for humanity's future had just begun. The secret of human resilience. The ship trembled under enemy fire as Kresh maneuvered through Earth's atmosphere, his hands deftly gliding over the controls. Elena clung to her seat, her knuckles white, as the spacecraft tilted sharply to avoid another incoming blast. "Can't this thing go faster?" Elena shouted, her voice barely audible over the alarms blaring around them. Kresh snarled, his glowing eyes narrowing. "It's a stealth ship, not a fighter. If you prefer, I can drop you off and let them take you." Elena clamped her mouth shut, clutching the glowing device tighter. The Exarethian ships were relentless, their sleek, silver forms gliding like predators through the clouds. Each shot they fired forced Kresh to dive, weave, and push the small craft to its limits. Suddenly, Kresh slammed his clawed hand on a glowing panel. The ship accelerated with a burst of energy, its cloaking system activating just as they dove into the stormy depths of the Atlantic Ocean. Water engulfed them, and for a moment, the chase seemed to end. "They won't follow us here," Kresh muttered, steering the ship toward a hidden base below the waves. Elena exhaled sharply. "So now are you going to explain why the Exarathians are willing to risk war with the Alliance just to get this?" She held up the device, its soft blue glow lighting her face. Kresh didn't answer immediately. The ship docked inside a hidden cavern, its metallic walls pulsating with energy. As the doors hissed open, Kresh turned to Elena. "Follow me. I'll explain everything, but you're not going to like it." Inside the base, the walls shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, casting an eerie glow over the cavern. Alien technology hummed softly, and strange aquatic creatures floated in containment tanks. Kresh led Elena to a central chamber, where a large holographic map of the galaxy hovered in midair. "Start talking," Elena said, crossing her arms. "You keep hinting at things, but I need answers." Kresh tapped a panel, and the hologram zoomed in on Earth, surrounded by red markers. "You know the law. Humans are off limits. What you don't know is why. The Alliance isn't protecting you out of goodwill." He paused, his sharp features darkening. "It's protecting itself." Elena frowned. "From what? We're not a threat to the Alliance. Our technology is decades behind theirs." Kresh's claw traced the map, his voice quiet but intense. Not now. But humans are different. Unique. Every species in the galaxy has limits, physical, mental, evolutionary. But humans? You have none. Alina's heart raced as his words sank in. What do you mean? Your resilience, Kresh said, turning to face her. Your ability to adapt. No matter what's thrown at you, disease, famine, war, you survive. More than that, you evolve. Faster than anyone else. The Alliance knows this. They've studied it for centuries. That's why they've kept you contained on Earth. Alina staggered back. They're afraid of us. Kresh nodded. The Exarathians are the first to challenge the law openly. But trust me, many others share their fear. If they get that device, they'll use it to manipulate your genetic code, to control your evolution before you become too powerful. Alina looked down at the glowing cylinder in her hands. It suddenly felt heavier, like it was carrying the weight of humanity's destiny. What's in this? What does it unlock? Kresh hesitated, his expression uncharacteristically somber. It's a blueprint. Your genetic potential. Every ability humans could develop if pushed far enough. Enhanced strength, accelerated healing, mental connectivity. It's all in there. Her eyes widened. You're saying, we could evolve into something more, much more, Kresh said. But not naturally. The device is a cheat code. It could accelerate your evolution by centuries. If the Exarathians get it, they'll weaponize it. Turn humans into tools, or worse, slaves. Alina's mind spun. She had spent her life studying alien biology, marveling at the vast diversity of life in the galaxy. But she had never considered that humans might hold the greatest potential of all. Why are you helping me? She asked, her voice trembling. Why do you care? Kresh's gaze softened, but only slightly. Because I've seen what happens when powerful species rise too fast. They destroy everything in their path, including themselves. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it to keep the galaxy from tearing itself apart. A sudden alarm interrupted their conversation, its shrill tone echoing through the base. Kresh darted to a console, his claws flying over the controls. The hologram shifted, showing Exarathian ships descending toward the ocean. They've tracked us, Kresh growled. We don't have much time. Alina's pulse quickened. Can't we fight them off? With what? This base is a research outpost, not a fortress, Kresh snapped. He turned to her, his expression fierce. You need to leave. Take the device and get as far away as you can. I can't do this alone, Alina protested. I don't even know where to go. Kresh hesitated, then opened a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside was a sleek, black datavat. He handed it to her. This has coordinates for a safe haven. A resistance group that's been preparing for this. They'll protect you. What about you? She asked. Kresh grinned, baring his sharp teeth. I'll keep them busy. It's what I do best. Before she could argue, the base shuddered under the impact of enemy fire. Kresh grabbed her by the arm and shoved her toward a smaller escape pod. Go, human. And remember, your species isn't weak. You're just waking up. As the pod launched into the dark waters, Alina watched the base shrink behind her. She clutched the device tightly, her mind racing with Kresh's words. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. It was evolving. And the galaxy wasn't ready for what came next. The trap. The escape pod burst from the ocean's surface like a breaching whale, its sleek form glinting under the moonlight. Alina struggled to steady her breathing as the pod's autopilot engaged, charting a course toward the coordinates Kresh had uploaded. Outside, the vast expanse of space awaited, but Alina's thoughts remained tethered to Earth and the alien who had risked his life to protect her. She glanced at the glowing device in her lap. Its soft blue light pulsed faintly, as if alive. Why us? She whispered to herself. Why are humans so important? Her musings were interrupted by a low hum. The pod's sensors flashed red, warning her of incoming ships. She turned to the viewport, her stomach twisting at the sight of sleek Exarathian fighters closing in fast. The pod's AI announced coldly, "Evasive maneuvers initiated." But the pod wasn't built for combat. It jolted violently, throwing Elena against her restraints as it swerved to avoid the first blast. She clenched the device tighter, her mind racing. Was this the end? Had Kresh's sacrifice been in vain? Suddenly, the pod's alarm ceased. A new ship appeared out of nowhere, its black, angular design blending seamlessly with the void. It fired at the Exarathians with precision, forcing them to retreat. Elena barely had time to react before her pod was caught in a tractor beam and pulled into the mysterious vessel. The hatch hissed open, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with humans. They were armed, battle-hardened, and suspicious. Their leader, a tall woman with piercing eyes and a scar running down her cheek, stepped forward. She studied Elena for a moment before speaking. "You must be Dr. Voss," she said, her voice sharp but calm. "I'm Commander Rhea of the Vanguard Resistance. We've been waiting for you." Elena staggered out of the pod, still clutching the device. "Waiting for me? How did you know?" "We've been tracking you since the Exarathians entered Earth's atmosphere," Rhea interrupted. "And we know about the device you're carrying." Elena's heart sank. "If you know about it, then you know what's at stake. The Exarathians are the least of our concerns," Rhea finished. "This isn't just about them. The entire galaxy is watching, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Humans are no longer a secret." The chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Elena looked around, taking in the faces of the resistance fighters. They were young and old, men and women, but all bore the same look of quiet determination. These were people who had been preparing for this moment, sacrificing everything for humanity's survival. Rhea gestured for Elena to follow her into a briefing room. A large hologram dominated the space, displaying a map of the galaxy with Earth at its center. Red markers spread outward like a web, representing the ships and factions now converging on their location. "This is what we're up against," Rhea said, pointing to the map. "The Exarathians aren't working alone. There are others, species who fear what humans might become, and some who want to exploit it." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean, exploit?" Rhea tapped a button, and the hologram zoomed in on a series of intercepted transmissions. Alien languages scrolled across the screen alongside images of human captives. "They've been experimenting on us for decades," Rhea explained, "trying to unlock what makes us different. That device you're carrying, it's the culmination of all their work. If it falls into their hands, they'll control our evolution and our future." Elena's grip tightened on the device. "Then we have to destroy it." Rhea shook her head. "It's not that simple. The device is the only thing that can level the playing field. If we use it wisely, we can turn the tide in our favor. But first, we need to understand it fully." Before Elena could respond, the ship's alarm blared. The room plunged into chaos as a young technician shouted, "We've been compromised. Incoming ships, dozens of them." Rhea's face hardened. "Prepare for battle. Dr. Voss, stay here." "No," Elena said firmly. "If they're after me, I'm not hiding. I need to help." Rhea hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. Follow me, but stay close." The Vanguard scrambled to their stations as the ship shook under the first wave of enemy fire. Elena followed Rhea to the command deck, where holographic displays showed the approaching fleet. It wasn't just Exarathians this time. Ships from multiple alien factions filled the screen, their weapons primed. "We walked into a trap," Rhea muttered. "They were waiting for us." Elena's mind raced. "How did they find us?" Kresh said this place was secure. Rhea's jaw clenched. It was. Until someone betrayed us. Elena's heart sank. A traitor among the resistance. She scanned the room, searching for answers, but there was no time. The ship jolted again, and the lights flickered. We can't hold them off forever, a pilot shouted. Rhea turned to Elena. If you've got any bright ideas, now's the time. Elena looked at the device in her hands. She didn't fully understand it yet, but she knew it was the key to everything. Can this ship's systems interface with alien tech? She asked. Rhea frowned. In theory, yes. Why? Elena's mind raced. If I can tap into the device, I might be able to create a decoy signal, something to throw them off our trail. Rhea nodded. Do it, but make it fast. Elena rushed to a nearby console, connecting the device to the ship's systems. As she worked, the battle outside intensified. The resistance fighters fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Come on, Elena muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. The device's blue glow brightened, and for a moment, she thought she felt it hum, almost as if it were alive. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a new signal. The enemy fleet hesitated, their movements faltering. Elena's plan was working, but as the signal spread, a strange energy filled the room, making the air feel heavy. What's happening? Rhea demanded. Elena looked up, her eyes wide. The device, it's reacting. I think it's waking up. As the ship trembled under the growing power of the device, a single thought echoed in Elena's mind. This was only the beginning. The betrayal. The ship's command deck buzzed with tension as the strange energy from the device pulsed through the air. Elena's hands hovered over the console, her heart pounding. The decoy signal had worked. The enemy ships had faltered. Their targeting systems scrambled. But the eerie hum from the device unsettled her. It's reacting to something, Elena muttered, her voice barely audible over the ship's alarms. Reacting to what? Commander Rhea demanded, gripping the edge of the console as the ship trembled again. Her piercing gaze scanned the room, searching for answers or threats. I don't know. Elena shot back. This isn't just a piece of tech. It's alive, in a way. It's sensing with something. She stopped mid-sentence as the ship's lights flickered. The holographic map on the central display distorted, then shifted to show Earth. A golden aura surrounded the planet, faint but unmistakable. The room fell silent as everyone stared at the projection. What is that? One of the technicians whispered. Elena's stomach churned. I think it's us, humanity. The device isn't just a blueprint. It's connected to every human on the planet. Before anyone could respond, a deep voice cut through the silence. She's lying. Elena turned sharply, her breath catching. A man stepped forward from the shadows of the command deck, his face partially obscured by the dim light. He was human, but there was something off about him. His movements too precise, his expression too calm. Agent Kane, Rhea said coldly. What are you doing up here? Your orders were to defend the engine room. Kane smirked, his hand resting on the blaster at his side. Defend the engine room? No, Commander. My orders are far more important than that. The tension in the room spiked. Rhea reached for her sidearm, but Kane was faster. In one fluid motion, he drew his blaster and aimed it at Elena. Hand over the device, he said, his tone cold and unyielding. Rhea stepped between him and Elena. Stand down, Kane. You're betraying everything we fought for. No, Kane said, his eyes narrowing. I'm ensuring humanity's survival. This resistance is a fantasy, a futile attempt to fight enemies we can't defeat. The Alliance has already won. The only chance we have is to negotiate with them. Give them the device, and they'll spare us. Elena's voice shook as she spoke. You don't understand what you're saying. If they get this, they won't spare us. They'll control us. That's better than extinction, Kane snapped. His blaster hummed as it powered up. You're playing with forces you don't understand, Doctor. Now, give me the device, or I'll take it from you. Before Kane could pull the trigger, a deafening clang echoed through the ship. The deck lurched violently. throwing everyone off balance. Kane stumbled, giving Rhea the opening she needed. She lunged at him, disarming him with a swift, practiced motion. "Secure him." Rhea barked, and 2 resistance fighters moved in, pinning Kane to the floor. He struggled, snarling like a cornered animal. "You're all fools," Kane shouted. "You don't see the bigger picture. You can't win this war." Rhea turned to Elena, her expression grim. "How did he get on this ship? Who sent him?" Elena shook her head, her mind racing. "I don't know, but he's not working alone. The Alliance must have planted him here." Rhea's jaw tightened. "That means they know more than we thought. They've been planning this for a long time." The betrayal cast a shadow over the crew, but there was no time to dwell on it. The enemy fleet, though briefly scattered, had regrouped. Alarms blared as the ship took another hit, and the lights flickered again. "We can't hold them off much longer," one of the technicians said, panic edging his voice. "Shields are down to 20%. Rhea turned to Elena. "We need to get you and the device out of here. If they capture this ship, it's over." Elena hesitated. "What about the rest of you? I can't just leave you behind." "You don't have a choice," Rhea said firmly. "You're carrying humanity's future. If you fall into their hands, it's all for nothing." Before Elena could protest, another explosion rocked the ship. The room filled with smoke as sparks rained down from the ceiling. Rhea grabbed Elena's arm, pulling her toward the escape pods. "Go," Rhea shouted. "We'll hold them off as long as we can." As the escape pod launched into the void, Elena watched the Vanguard ship grow smaller and smaller, its hull scared and battered. She clutched the device tightly, her mind reeling from the events of the past hour. Kane's betrayal had shaken her to the core. How many more like him were out there, willing to trade humanity's freedom for survival? The pod's AI spoke calmly, breaking through her thoughts. "Course set for Haven." Elena glanced at the display. The coordinates Crash had given her were still active, leading her to what she hoped would be a true safe haven. But deep down, she knew the fight was far from over. Humanity wasn't just at war with the galaxy, it was at war with itself. As the stars stretched into streaks of light, Elena whispered to herself, "We're not just survivors, we're fighters. And this isn't the end." But as the pod sped toward its destination, a small, blinking light on the dashboard caught her eye. A tracking signal. Kane's betrayal wasn't over yet. The enemy was still coming. Humanity's true power. The escape pod glided silently through the void, its interior eerily quiet. Elena's eyes were locked on the blinking tracker on the dashboard. Every pulse of the red light was a reminder that the enemy wasn't far behind. "How long until Haven?" she asked the pod's AI, her voice tight with urgency. "Arrival in 10 minutes, the AI replied in its monotone voice. "Warning. Unidentified vessels detected on an intercept course." Elena's stomach churned. They were running out of time. Her hands trembled as she clutched the glowing device tighter, its energy humming faintly, as though alive. Was this all for nothing? Was humanity's last chance about to end before it even began? The pod descended toward Haven, a hidden resistance base nestled in the asteroid field near the edge of the galaxy. The base was well camouflaged, its massive structures built into the craggy surface of the largest asteroid, blending seamlessly with the rock. But as the pod approached, the gravity of the situation became clear. Enemy ships were closing in fast, their sleek forms darting through the field with deadly precision. The resistance fighters at Haven sprang into action, scrambling ships and activating defenses. Laser turrets emerged from the asteroid's surface, firing bright streams of energy at the attackers. Explosions lit up the field as enemy ships were destroyed, but more kept coming. Elena's pod was caught in a tractor beam and pulled into the base's docking bay. The moment the hatch opened, she was met by a group of armed humans, their expressions grim but resolute. "You're Dr. Voss," a tall man in combat gear asked. His face was weathered, his eyes sharp. "Yes, Elena said, stepping out of the pod. "And I brought this." She held up the glowing device. The man's gaze flickered to the device, a mixture of awe and fear in his eyes. "I'm Colonel Adar. We've been expecting you. Come with me. There's no time." Inside the command center, the tension was palpable. Screens displayed the chaos outside as the resistance fighters engaged the enemy fleet. Colonel Adar led Elena to a central console, where a group of technicians worked frantically to analyze the situation. "The device you're carrying," Adar said, turning to Elena. "Is it true? Does it really hold the key to humanity's evolution?" Elena nodded. "It's more than a blueprint. It's connected to every human alive. It's reacting to us, guiding us. But it's also dangerous. If the enemy gets it." "They won't," Adar interrupted. "We'll protect you and the device at all costs." Elena hesitated. "It's not just about protecting it. We need to use it. Humanity's resilience, our ability to adapt, it's all in here. If we can unlock it, we might stand a chance against them." Adar frowned. "Do you know how to unlock it?" Elena's gaze dropped to the device, its glow pulsing steadily. "Not entirely. But I think it's already started. When I activated the decoy signal, something shifted. It's like it's waking up." Adar's expression hardened. "Then we need to wake it up faster, whatever it takes." As the battle outside intensified, Elena was taken to a secure lab deep within the base. The room was filled with advanced technology, much of it alien in origin. Technicians worked around her, calibrating equipment and preparing for what was to come. "The device isn't just a tool," Elena explained to Adar and the others. "It's tied to our biology. To activate it fully, someone has to interface with it directly." "You mean, use it on yourself?" Adar asked, his tone skeptical. Elena nodded. "It's risky. The process could kill me, but it's the only way." Before Adar could respond, the base shook violently. An alarm blared, and a voice echoed over the intercom. "Enemy forces have breached the perimeter." Adar cursed under his breath. "We're out of time." "Do it, Doctor. We'll hold them off." Elena took a deep breath as she stepped into the center of the lab. The device was placed on a pedestal, its glow intensifying. Electrodes and sensors were attached to her temples and chest, connecting her to the alien machinery surrounding the room. "Are you sure about this?" one of the technicians asked. "I don't think we have a choice," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. The process began. Energy surged from the device, flooding the room with blinding light. Elena cried out as her body was engulfed in the glow, her mind overwhelmed by a torrent of information. Visions of humanity's past, present, and future flashed before her eyes. Wars, triumphs, struggles, and victories. She saw the patterns of evolution, the threads of resilience that had carried her species through countless challenges. And then she felt it. A power deep within her, dormant but undeniable. The device wasn't just unlocking her potential. It was awakening something primal, something ancient. Her body burned with energy, her senses sharpening to a degree she had never imagined. She could feel the heartbeat of the base, the fear of the fighters outside, the collective determination of humanity itself. When the light faded, Elena collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. Adar rushed to her side, his expression a mix of concern and awe. "Doctor, are you okay?" Elena looked up, her eyes glowing faintly with the same blue light as the device. She stood slowly, her movements deliberate and controlled. "I'm fine," she said, her voice steady but resonating with an almost otherworldly strength. "More than fine." Before anyone could respond, the doors to the lab burst open. Khazarathian soldiers stormed in, their weapons raised. But Elena didn't flinch. She stepped forward, raising her hand. A shockwave of energy erupted from her, sending the soldiers flying back. The resistance fighters stared in stunned silence as Elena turned to Adar. "They wanted to know what humans are capable of," she said, her glowing eyes narrowing. It's time to show them. Outside, the tide of the battle shifted. Alina led the charge, her newfound abilities amplifying the Resistance's efforts. She moved with speed and precision, deflecting enemy fire and dismantling their ships with raw energy. Her presence inspired the fighters, their morale surging as they rallied behind her. For the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't just surviving. It was fighting back and winning. But as the battle raged on, Alina knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would soon learn the truth about humans, and they would never see them the same way again. Humans are off limits. The battlefield was chaos, but in the midst of it, Alina stood as a beacon of strength. Her glowing eyes scanned the carnage, calculating each move with precision. Waves of energy flowed from her hands, dismantling enemy ships and neutralizing soldiers without a single shot fired. It wasn't destruction, it was control. The Exarathians faltered, their once coordinated attack collapsing into confusion. Their commanders barked orders, but it was clear. The tide had turned. Colonel Adar's voice crackled over Alina's comms. "They're retreating. Whatever you're doing, it's working." "It's not enough," Alina replied, her voice calm but resolute. She turned her attention to the largest Exarathian ship, a massive dreadnought hovering ominously at the edge of the asteroid field. That ship is their command center. If we don't take it out, they'll regroup and come back stronger. Adar hesitated. "You're powerful, but that thing is a fortress. You'll never get close." Alina clenched her fists, the energy coursing through her intensifying. "I don't need to get close. I just need to make them see." Before Adar could respond, Alina launched herself into the void, her body surrounded by a glowing shield of energy. The Resistance fighters watched in awe as she soared toward the dreadnought, weaving through enemy fire with an almost supernatural grace. Inside the Exarathian dreadnought, chaos reigned. Commanders shouted over one another as holographic screens displayed Alina's approach. "What is she?" one of them hissed, their scaled skin shimmering under the dim light. The Supreme Commander, a towering Exarathian with intricate golden armor, growled in frustration. "She's the reason the humans were declared untouchable. I warned you all. This law wasn't about protecting them. It was about protecting us. She's just one human." Another commander protested. "We can destroy her." The Supreme Commander's gaze darkened. "No, she's the beginning. If we kill her, others will rise. We must contain this. Now." Alina landed on the hull of the dreadnought, her energy shield expanding to envelop her in a bubble of oxygen. She placed her hands against the cold metal, her mind reaching out through the device's connection. She could feel the ship's systems, the minds of its crew, their fear and desperation. Closing her eyes, she projected her thoughts outward. "This ends now." Her voice echoed inside the minds of every Exarathian aboard the ship, amplified by the device's power. They froze, their weapons trembling in their hands. "You broke the law. You sought to control us, to suppress what you don't understand. But humanity is not your enemy. We are not your prey. And if you continue this fight, you will learn why the galaxy fears us." The Supreme Commander snarled, his claws digging into the armrest of his throne. "She's bluffing. Humans are adaptable, yes, but they're not invincible." But then the ship began to shake. Alina's energy surged through its systems, shutting down weapons, engines, and shields. The dreadnought was rendered powerless, floating helplessly in the void. She opened her eyes, her glowing gaze fixed on the Supreme Commander's hologram. "You will leave this battlefield. You will tell the Alliance what happened here. And you will never harm another human again. And if we refuse..." The commander spat. Alina's expression hardened. "Then I'll show you what happens when humans are pushed too far." The dreadnought's hull groaned under the pressure of her energy, cracks spreading across its surface. The Exarathians on board panicked, scrambling to escape. The Supreme Commander finally lowered his head in reluctant submission. "Withdraw the fleet," he ordered. We are done here. The remaining enemy ships retreated, leaving Haven untouched. Cheers erupted across the resistance base as the realization sank in. They had won. Elena returned to the command center, her energy dimming as she stepped onto solid ground. The fighters surrounded her, their faces a mix of awe and gratitude. Colonel Adar approached, clapping her on the shoulder. "You didn't just save us," he said. "You saved humanity." Elena shook her head. "This isn't over. They'll be back. The Alliance won't let this go." "Maybe," Adar said. "But now, they know what we're capable of. They won't underestimate us again." Back on Earth, the Intergalactic Alliance's council chamber was in disarray. Representatives from countless species argued over the events at Haven. The Exarathians demanded retribution, but others hesitated, their fear evident. A cloaked figure stepped forward, silencing the room with their presence. The mysterious council member, the same one who had watched silently during the earlier debate, removed their hood, revealing the human face. Gasps echoed through the chamber. "You see now why humans are off limits," the figure said, their voice calm but firm. "It's not because they are weak. It's because they are strong in ways you cannot comprehend. To push them is to risk everything." The council fell silent, the weight of the words settling over them. One by one, the representatives nodded in reluctant agreement. The law protecting humanity would remain. On Haven, Elena stood on a platform overlooking the stars. The device rested in her hands, its glow faint but steady. She knew its power, its potential, and its danger. For now, it was safe. But the galaxy had changed, and there was no going back. Adar joined her, his expression thoughtful. "What happens now?" Elena smiled faintly. "Now, we prepare. Humanity isn't just surviving anymore. We're evolving. And if the galaxy wants to fear us, let them. But we'll show them something else too." "Like what?" Adar asked. Elena turned, her glowing eyes reflecting the endless expanse of stars. "Hope. The story ends, but humanity's journey had just begun."